Right to some breaking news. A shooting in downtown Seattle has hurt 2 people.
It happened near Pioneer Square. King 5's Ted Land is there live for us with more. Ted?
Hi guys, still an active scene here tonight. Here's what we know at this hour. 2 people were shot near 3rd and Yesler in Pioneer Square, just steps from where we're set up here tonight. They have non-life-threatening injuries, but one of them was rushed to Harborview. Police are still looking for the shooter tonight. They questioned and released somebody right after the shooting, but over the past 30 minutes or so, they've been interviewing people on the sidewalks, trying to find out any details they can about this shooting. What led to it? Did anyone run away from the scene? They've been hosing off some blood which was on the sidewalk across the street. We should note we're just steps from the front of the King County Courthouse, which has been at the center of a lot of questions about safety over the past several months after some pretty high-profile attacks on the sidewalk there as people were trying to get in and out of the courthouse. It's just a few feet from where this shooting happened. Police, after those incidents, pledged to beef up security outside the courthouse, and they did that. But tonight's shooting renews some questions about safety on this stretch of 3rd Avenue here. So again, 2 people shot, non-life-threatening injuries, and police are still looking for the shooter tonight. Live in Pioneer Square, Ted Land, King 5 News.